And we are live. It's 13F season again here on Punch Card Investing, tail end of it. We like to review all of the 13Fs and kind of the major moves that we've seen a lot of the super investors, whether they've made any or not. We like to review them once a quarter just to kind of see what's going on, see if maybe there are some good investment ideas. And one of the unique things about some of the financial disclosure systems throughout the world, in the US in particular, you have the 13F system, which forces large enough investors to disclose what they invested in the previous quarter. So it can be a good opportunity to look for investing ideas and kind of see what's going on in the value space in our case, but for pretty much any investor you want to follow, at least when they get to a big enough size, you can get a good sense of what they're doing. Though just realize that this is an imperfect science and we're only seeing a snapshot of some things. And it's also, there's a bit of a time lag with a lot of these disclosures. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to remind you all to smash that like button, as you have been doing through all of our previous episodes. We very much appreciate that. I know there's at least a few of you who haven't been doing that. So you really should join your value investing friends in smashing the like button. It would go a long way towards helping us out. And be sure to subscribe as well so you don't miss future live streams. We do this around this time every single week. So wouldn't want you guys to miss out if by chance you are awake and available when we do these streams, since it's not always at the best time, depending on where you're from, with our worldwide audience. All right. So guys, which 13F should we start with first?
Let's go with Li Lu.
Okay. Let me pull up Li Lu real quick. I got to share my screen. It's a good transition.
Wait, is that Kathy Wood there?
Yeah, it is Kathy Wood. Wow. And her Zoom didn't work.
We're looking at deep value today, right? So.
Yeah, in the spirit of value investing, it's only appropriate. But also in the spirit of our last episode where we did a whole Facebook deep dive, got a little Facebook from Li Lu right here, adding 50% to his existing share count. And this was in last quarter, so pre-dip.
So the same quarter, Facebook rebranded to Meta.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he overpaid by the looks of it, obviously in hindsight, but I think he would have paid about $330 a share, probably is about the average over that quarter.
Let me take a look.
Stock chart. And I don't know what they are now, probably 220 or so. So
yeah, around 210, 220 has been hovering around there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 206 as of today.
And it doesn't show on I don't think it showed up on the list there, but he also fully sold out of Pinduoduo, which was a very small position for him to start with, but interesting to see that as well.
December 31st, it was around 330. And if we go all the way back to, it would have been mid to low threes. Wow. And it's all the way down to low twos. So, ouch.
I'll be curious to see what he does in the next 13F if he kind of double down, because there's been no real. Well, there was a quarter filing that came out after him buying. Then is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the most recent one. So I'll be curious to see what he does there now that things have changed, I guess. But
SC358, always a faithful contributor, mentions that this isn't the first time we've seen Li Lu dip into some fairly expensive, you could say, U.S. stocks, at least compared to some of the other holdings in his portfolio that we know of. We saw him buy Berkshire a while back. We saw him buy Apple at seemingly a pretty expensive price for at least what you'd expect from your traditional value investor, but very U.S. focused, at least from what we've seen. A lot of these big U.S. names.
Well, I think he's heavily China focused.
Of course.
We can't see that.
Yeah, the Apple one was the most surprising one to me. I mean, I can kind of always see the argument for buying Berkshire at a reasonable price. And Facebook, I guess up until the kind of Meta rebrand or anything, I think the future for Facebook kind of seemed clearer before that. I can see the argument there. But Apple I think he paid probably 40 times earnings or something for that, which was a little out of character.
I think he's starting to suffer from the same problem a lot of large investors do, that they have too much assets under management and they have to invest in these large companies. So similar to the Buffett problem, where there's only so many companies that are liquid enough to buy into, I think Lilu's starting to reach that point, but I'm not entirely sure that's true.
I think he's around 20 billion in terms of assets under management.
Yeah, it's getting big. I mean, the BYD position's 2 billion. Like, if you want to cap yourself at, call it 5% ownership in a company, you're starting to get towards some pretty large market caps at that size. KPG does not qualify.
Unlucky for him.
Lilu takes a big swing at KPG, carries his whole portfolio.
Right. He also added to Bank of America. It's not a company I follow, but anybody have any thoughts on that one?
It's a Buffett favorite.
Right.
Yeah, he's cloning Buffett, right? Berkshire, Apple, Bank of America.
Munger owns it as well, right?
BYD.
In Daily Journal.
Yeah, Munger's got BYD and Daily Journal.
No, I mean,
and Bank.
Yeah,
and
Bank of America,
I think. Yeah. Stunned silence.
Bank of America is just really jarring.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't know a thing about Bank of America.
Yeah, no, me either.
Yeah, we've got Lilu buying like American large tech and Charlie's buying Chinese large tech, which is interesting.
They're swapping, right?
Lilu's trying to tell us something.
Yeah, it's hard because we're, like Brad says, we're probably not seeing the full picture there to give us kind of the full context.
There's about $18 billion unaccounted for. So
yeah,
which
is most of it.
Yeah.
If Lilu had the Hong Kong listed shares of Alibaba, we wouldn't be able to see it, right? Could be?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think
he
he
had
would.
a 5% position. I don't think that would show up.
Mm-mm.
No.
He owned the American version previously, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It'd be strange that he would purchase it another way, but I think because he manages his fund from the US, it's probably just more simple to do it that way, but it's possible.
In the middle, we saw a lot of investors like switch out from BABA to 9988, so which didn't make sense, but I mean, they did it. So
Doesn't make sense to us.
I mean, it's the same, right? You still get the VIE exposure. It's not like you escape that. You just get more shares for, like, you get 8 instead of 1.
We don't know
You're
what
getting
the
rid of
tax
those
implications are and all that.
little tiny investment banking fees that you pay on your ADR, I suppose.
No,
that's about the only difference I can see.
Yeah.
Come on, more shares is better, right?
Well, isn't that the genius of stock splits?
Yeah, that's what Google's doing that soon. Like it's amazing. You just print shares and it's magic.
That's probably why Terry Smith bought into Google, because the stock split is coming
right.
up, right? Yeah.
It's like he's like, wow, I'm multiplying my shares immediately. It's I don't know why you wouldn't do that.
You guys should start investing in Australia and New Zealand, because it's very rare to see anything over like a $10 share price unless it's like exploded upwards. So if you purely want a lot of zeros on the number of shares you own, just for, I don't know, if that makes you feel good, down under's the place to be.
Good. Who else we want to dig into?
There was a comment in there about AltaFox Capital.
Yeah.
Which is Connor Haley's fund, which he released his first 13F, I believe. I think it's the first time he reached that $100 million threshold. And it was pretty surprising to me, mostly in the fact that, well, we're only getting a look at the US companies mostly, but that Google was a large position. Connor Haley, if you don't know, is renowned microcap guru, mostly focuses on the smaller stuff. But his largest position, or one of the larger positions, was Google, which I found pretty surprising.
That was the largest, I think.
Nope.
There's Collectors Universe in there you can see on ticker from a 13D.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go.
I'm not sure why that doesn't come up in the 13F though, because I'm sure that's US listed.
Well, I think there was an addition is what happened. That's why it's more recent.
Right, because it was in January.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was one of the original buys for that fund back in like 2017, and I guess it's done incredibly well. And actually, Connor Haley made reference, I think, at the end of the year to some new, high conviction idea that was going to be released in a couple months that was showing similar risk reward to Collector's Universe, and it seems like that must be Hasbro. So it is the highest conviction holding for Altifox right now.
Yeah, and I think Collector's Universe was the one he was activist on for a while as well.
Okay. Yeah.
And like you told me before this, I think he's doing the same thing on Hasbro, but I don't know much about that at all.
Yeah, he's basically trying to get the existing board thrown out, and he's nominated a whole bunch of new directors. He thinks with decent capital allocation skills and better management, it's probably worth twice the current price. That's kind of his underlying idea.
Did I see Magic is within Hasbro? I'm not a Magic guy, but I keep hearing about it.
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, well, isn't his activist kind of, if you want to learn more about what he wants to do with Hasbro, it's like freethemagic.com or something, isn't it? It's something like that.
Free the Wizards.
Free the Wizards. There you go.
That's it.
So is the idea to spin off that part of the business to realize value, or?
The board of directors was the one that kind of mainly stuck with me, but he's got like 100 slide or something presentation if you really want to dig into it. I forget whether he wants to spin that business.
I'm seeing headlines. I just searched Magic the Gathering Hasbro. They're considering making NFTs for Magic, so printing money.
Considering making NFTs.
That's the growth vector right there.
Okay.
There is a comment that came up about Collector's Universe saying that it went private as well, which I just haven't followed that one at all.
Right.
The other 13F, I mean, there weren't a lot from the big investors that I follow this quarter that had huge changes. We got the Charlie Munger one pretty early, but probably Monish Babrai had the most activity out of the investors that I follow.
I think the most interesting one was Prem Vatsa. Like, there was quite a bit of activity, and certain positions were like, okay, I'm surprised he's buying into that, like Tencent Music.
Yeah.
Do you want to bring up Prem Watsas?
I was in the middle of Monish, but we can go to Prem next.
Yeah, we can do Monish quickly. So probably the one that everyone's interested in is Alibaba, which isn't showing there because he sold all of it. But I'd argue that was expected after seeing him dump he said in interviews he sold it all to put in a process, right? So that's finally had enough time to flow through to a 13F. He sold a lot of Seritage recently, so he actually knew about part of that one already. So since he owns more than 5% of the shares outstanding, he files a 13G. And that 67% reduction actually understates it a bit, I think. So he sold 26% of his shares in like the 10th of January, roughly. And he sold the additional 67%, which is what we're seeing there. Or he sold 67% of what he had left after January, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Only like 2 days ago, I think it was, or 3 days ago. So that's
3 days ago.
Yeah. So that's the other one for Seritage. And lots of other movement, like in and around his international positions as well. He started buying back into Rain, which I thought he was actually selling for some time. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And trimmed nice holdings and added slightly to Edelweiss Financial as well.
And added to Micron, is that what I can see at the top?
He did,
added to
15%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely been very active, old Monish.
Trader Monish.
And right now he's in Turkey trying to find some more 100 baggers.
Right, you were there with him. Have you been there recently?
Yeah, I had to come back, so I had a good enough internet connection to be with you guys tonight.
Oh, right. So you were there last week as well. I know you were there for months.
That's right. Yeah.
Any new stocks you can share from your travels?
I've been told to kind of keep it on the DL for now.
He's got that NDA, like can't discuss.
That's right, the NDA. Yeah.
No handshake agreements. It's got to be that formal.
I get we have an incomplete picture with Monish, and like he has plenty of foreign holdings. that wouldn't be subject to disclosures, at least that we know of. But this is it's a lot of activity, and it seems pretty short term. It seems like for a lot of these. I'm with Alibaba. I know he says that he kind of pivoted into Prosus, but that was very short.
Yep.
SRG was pretty short term as well, relatively speaking. It's not like we're talking about holding these things for 5 years and then maybe pivoting. It's like within a year.
SRG he knew was kind of in the 50-cent dollar bill bucket.
Yeah,
30-cent dollar bill,
and he made money on it because he got it at like 7 or whatever.
Yeah, but he also went on a podcast and said he's going to own it for 10 years and not think about it in the meantime.
Right. That's what I'm getting at.
And the first position he bought, position he bought since kind of preaching the whole long-term compounder was Alibaba, and it lasted a couple of months.
Right. That's why I'm a little bit.
We got to get him on here, guys. We got to grill him a little bit, I think.
Yeah, gonna need an explanation.
There's many reasons I said, right?
So SC pointed out one of his Turkish holdings, kind of recent Turkish buys. It's a insurance company, I think. Anadolu Haya. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation, but
no, that was perfect, I think.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
You really
Can we pull that one up?
Culture.
I didn't know about this one at all.
Yeah, let's pull it up. This is the one that came out a few months ago, I think.
Pull it up, Jamie.
I feel like after...
Is that controversial to say at the moment?
What's that, Karan?
After looking at Monish's portfolio, you have to look at Guy to make sure that, the sell is actually worth selling. Because if Guy sold out and Monish sold out, then it's like, you should need to look into it.
Problem is, Guy isn't going to go into Turkey, so we have no help with those anyway.
Yeah, but Guy uploaded I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but he had a podcast episode with Matt Peterson like 2 days ago, and it was very positive on Seritage and Daily Journal. So it really seems like, I don't know, maybe he's just found something, and Seritage was the obvious one for him to sell.
Yeah.
To get some cash for a new idea.
That's my sense. Yeah.
Here's this one.
It's all the mistress. The mistress is in Turkey. That's what's distracting.
No restraint.
Problem.
It's too tempting down there. It's getting to him.
We really need to put that on a T-shirt and send it to him.
The mistress is hotter than the wife.
Yeah.
It gives us more content, right? Yeah. Keep churning, Monish. Then we can talk about it and ponder. They do pensions and life insurance products in Turkey and Cyprus.
Very sexy.
Small cap company.
Has this been confirmed somehow? Like, how do we know this?
SC's been on the phone. There have been some filings that have surfaced with his name on them.
Gotcha. Must not hit Turkey yet, though, for whatever reason.
Yeah, they've probably got a lot on their plates right now, I think.
How much of his fund is in Turkey now? Do we have any idea?
Too much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Probably he would think not enough. Yeah. That's the way it seems.
It must be if he's selling off all these holdings that he claimed to be long-term things. Unless he's been lying this whole time.
His nominal returns in Turkish lira look very good, but they've been inflated away. Right. So that's actually a funny thing. Like if we look at, I don't know if we pull up a chart for this stock, it's done quite well, but
flip the currency.
Like in real terms, it's probably there we go.
Wow. Wow. I knew it was going to be significant, but geez.
It's just crazy.
Wow.
Like they apparently.
This is 1 year, by the way. This isn't even that long.
Can we get an all-time chart?
Yeah. All-time in dollars, it's kind of 1.8% compounded annual growth rate over
17
since 2005.
Years. Yeah.
Versus.
Interesting.
Yeah.
42%.
Oh, wait, no. That was 1 year. Here's all-time. Since 2005 in.
That's a respectable CAGR in the native currency there, but
those nominal returns are juicy.
Yeah, I mean, Peterson said that, I don't know Turkey very well, but Peterson was talking about a few years back they wiped a zero off all their bills just to come back to earth a little bit.
I can't imagine, but hey, maybe not for long. I just can't imagine that kind of like current just being worried about like everyday expenses or things going up like crazy. And you like have no idea what something's going to be priced at next week. Just like it happens. It's always happening in some country around the world. And it's happened many times in history, but we'll see if the Federal Reserve catches us up to that soon here in the States.
Scary proposition.
It is.
Tom, didn't Matt mention that he's got a Turkey-focused fund or something?
Yeah.
Or is that like in collaboration with Monish, or is that just him?
I think it's him and another guy, right?
Yeah, I think it's called like Talus or something like that.
Talus.
I think it's some sort of fund that I don't know if he's invested in the fund or he's managing it. I can't recall, to be honest.
Because I know
He's definitely
Matt
got money there.
invested with Monish. Yeah, he's invested in Monish's fund in India.
He's
Right.
well,
He
he's
mentioned on
in
the podcast, right?
yeah, he's in Dundo Holdings, which was the insurance company Monish bought and then sold to a guy whose name I'm blanking on.
Francis Chu? No.
Yeah, Francis Chu. That's right. Yeah, so there's sort of still the remnants of that venture that Matt Peterson's invested in, and that's got some stock holdings. I think it's got Google and some other things in there from memory.
That's got the Indian Energy Exchange, IEX. Is it?
Right.
Or is that separate?
Not sure.
Not sure. Because I know Guy like is really in IEX. Like it's been a huge winner for him. But Monish kind of sold out. So
yeah, I think it's bigger than Guy Spears' Berkshire position from memory. We might have to pull that up on Ticker, but it's gone up so much that
it's tripled in the last 12 months. Yeah.
Yeah, it's become a quarter of the pie or something. So yeah, I don't really know what to think about all this Monish activity. What about you guys?
That's a good Guy, be more stable. Maybe you can pull Guy's 13F up.
I kind of wonder for Guy and Aquamarine, do investors get the anxious types? Do they call them up, say, "Hey, Guy, look at all this turmoil in the market. Like, I'm concerned." And the same people call him Monish. Monish is like, "Don't worry, we're going to rotate the whole fund into a bunch of different things," and then that keeps them at bay. Is it something like that?
The Aquamarine investors get voicemail because Guy's on a mountain skiing somewhere.
Yeah, right. He's meditating somewhere.
Yeah,
or taking his notes. And if you guys haven't seen the interview that Tom recently did over on his podcast with Guy Spear himself, that was good. He's such an interesting dude. Like showing you his notebook. That was well done.
Yeah, almost gave away a Coinbase password for a second there.
It's okay. He's got like $100 in it, I think, from what I heard.
You should have checked. You had access, Tom.
No, that was a fun conversation, and he's coming back, so that should be good.
Did you guys? Oh, you want to talk about Aquamarine now? Okay, there were no
briefly,
changes, right?
Doesn't take long. Nothing
very
happened.
brief, very brief. Well, look at IEX up there.
Look at how neat the number of shares held is, just like 000.
Oh, Tom must love that.
So tidy,
yeah,
indeed.
That's good. I don't know what the Bank of America one's about.
Yeah.
At least it ends in a 5, not like a 7 or something.
Keeping it somewhat consistent.
Yeah. Oh, that Micron one's beautiful though. 200,000. Come on.
That's the secret to great returns.
Ferrari is another position that I think Monish owned 1% of the entire company at some point. So basically, out of every 100 Ferraris that were sold,
he's getting a 10% cut of the profit, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more or less where Buffett's at with Coke, right? I think he's got 9% of Coca-Cola. Be pretty dang cool to have that.
Ferrari's like a huge example. Guy held on, and I think he's done pretty okay on that. So
absolutely,
yeah, very well.
While we're talking about Guy, our man after dinner investor Jason asks Tom, "What was it like talking to Guy?"
Tell us, Tom. What was it like?
Was it intimidating? Was it exciting?
No. I wouldn't say it was intimidating. I've mentioned this to you guys offline, but I actually did have a conversation with Guy offline last year. So I think that helped ease the nerves maybe a little bit to chat with him. But he's an easy guy to get along with. And from a podcast perspective, I can kind of ask him a question and he's off to the races for 15 minutes. So I I just kind of sat back and enjoyed the wisdom.
That's the way to do it, though. Let the man speak.
Yeah, I mean, I've followed him for a long time. Like at the end of the day, I just kind of want to hear what's on his mind, really. And
it's
if I
refreshing.
can pull a few nuggets out, that's pretty nice.
It's refreshing when you have interviews where the interviewer clearly is interested and knows a thing or two about the person, and like versus maybe on TV where they're just getting a couple cliff notes from some editor saying, "All right, ask these questions," and it's very canned.
Yeah,
but you can pick at some very specific things. So actually, it wasn't one of Jason's questions. Didn't it make it on, if I remember correctly?
50%.
One of Jason's questions did make the cut. Yeah, that was the "Have you ever made a 50% bet?"
That's right.
Question.
Yeah, that was a good question. Jason's got good questions.
It was a hard no from Guy. Stupid question. Don't give him.
Why'd you even ask?
Oh boy, the beef is arising here.
It's way above his head.
Hey, do we have Nancy Pelosi's 13F by chance? There's a lot of people who are interested in that.
We have her they're not 13Fs. I don't know what they're called. The congressional disclosures. should we start adding these to these episodes? It'd probably be pretty interesting. Get a little options trading on big tech in particular.
Yeah.
She makes Michael Burry look like a noob. Like,
actually, though.
Yeah.
Tom, do you still own Stellantis? Is that the name of it?
No.
You don't. You're out.
No, I got out of it when Pabri did, which was a mistake.
Right.
Yeah. It was really interesting because Stellantis, formerly Fiat Chrysler, like just a ton of operational leverage. I think they did like 100 billion euros in revenue, and the market cap was like 18 billion or something when I bought it. So a tiny price to sales, but that's because margins are extremely thin, and it's kind of like, if you bring in 100 billion a year in revenue, you might be making 3 or 4 billion in net income potentially, and that can go to like negative 5 billion very quickly.
If you increase revenue a little bit, you're swimming in cash, but if it goes the other way, you're hurting.
Well, even if you increase revenue, I don't know if you're really swimming in cash. I don't think the margins expand a whole lot, but you can certainly get leverage the other direction. So,
right.
We were relatively early stages of the pandemic, and they're either closing factories or they've got production lines still going, but workers are spaced very far apart, and the production pace is a lot slower. And I could just see losses getting very negative very fast, and so made the decision to sell. But they came back kind of all guns blazing very fast. So I'd be a wealthier man today if I hadn't sold it.
So would you say you learned something there, or was it just kind of bad luck how things panned out?
It's an interesting one because I definitely learned to respect the operational leverage characteristics. Like that often gets talked about a lot in a very positive light for software businesses and things, but it's a very real thing in like metal benders and airline companies and all that sort of thing. So definitely learned a healthy respect for that. But it's one of these things where I think if I was presented with the same situation again, the underlying thesis being like it's a potential PE of 1, like future PE of 1. If you get presented with a basket of those over time, I think you still swing at them. And occasionally things like COVID-19 come out of left field. But I think over a long period of time, buying a basket of those opportunities, you probably do okay. So
sounds very acquirer's multiple of you.
Yeah, a little bit like that.
So no action from Guy.
Looking at Prem Watsa.
Sure.
Prem Watsa. The Warren Buffett of Canada.
What's fund name?
Fairfax.
Fairfax. That's right.
Come on, Jack.
I'm getting better at linking the person to the fund names.
He's still wet behind the ears, Tom. Let's give him a break.
There's so many to remember.
Like I know that Guy Sphere's Aquamarine now. So that's a level up from last time. I didn't remember that last time.
I always forget Cliff Sosin and Greg Alexander.
Yeah.
Right.
Greg Alexander also added to Baba, right?
He did, yeah.
20% increase. Yeah.
So I get confused about this, guy. So this does not look like the Fairfax portfolio that we see in Dataroma. Can someone explain what's happening here?
No idea. This is not one that I follow, to be honest.
This is like the international portfolio or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, ticker includes international holdings, but
yeah, but
They don't line up at all.
they seem completely different.
Is this like the wrong Fairfax or something?
it must be.
If you just Google like Prem Watson Dataroma, maybe see what comes up.
I have that up
But
too.
Fairfax has various different entities kind of around the world, don't they? Like they have African investment arms and
Yeah, and there's
like
a Fairfax
insurance.
India and stuff as well.
Yeah.
All right, here's Dataroma for Prim.
There we go. So sold out of Crescent Capital. I've never heard of that. Baba added. So what is that? A 4x increase in Baba?
0.5% of the pie.
Yeah, I mean,
It's such a tiny position of the portfolio.
right.
Some interesting names in there, but how meaningful they are.
Yeah, they're also tiny. It's very Dalio-esque. Just kind of buy a little everything.
Got rid of the S&P 500.
Not Dalio-esque.
Yeah, I
Who did?
don't know enough about Prem Watson to understand. what he
Dalio
might be
got rid of the
thinking here.
S&P?
Was it the 10-cent position
No.
that was interesting? The TME.
10-cent music.
Yeah, that was down there.
I missed
Yeah,
it.
it's like 0.1.
There it is.
Where is it? There's so many.
Just there, the pure
the first
buy.
buy.
Right
You've
up.
gone past it.
And wait, where is it?
Right.
Oh, there it is.
Frank, you were
Yeah.
looking at 10-cent music, right? I mean, is it
Yeah,
something
10
you're
cent
probably
music
gonna
is-
pull the trigger? Yeah.
It's one that I probably would have if I didn't already own Tencent, but I don't want any further exposure to Tencent. But yeah, it's really interesting in my opinion. It's very similar to Spotify. I guess it's the best comparison, but for China, they also have like a karaoke business and things like that. Huge growth numbers, plenty of ways to kind of monetize. It's unlike Spotify, I guess they don't have a very high premium user number. That's kind of grown at 100% year over year for the past couple of years. So there's a lot of growth coming there, but it's really cheap, cheaper than any other streaming or even music related business there is. Yeah, I haven't done too much work on it, but from surface level research, it seems like something I'd be really interested in, but I just kind of stopped because I have exposure through Tencent either way.
I love the relatively huge position in BlackBerry.
He's had that for a long time, I think.
I wonder what are you waiting for? That's what I'd want to know.
I mean, that's a long-term compounder right there, Jack. BlackBerry.
Yeah,
It's a staple.
truly.
Well, I mean, how's it actually performed?
Yeah,
I don't know when he first bought it, but he's had it for. I want to say he's had it for 5 years or more. It was it was kind of put in the same category as GameStop, I think.
Yeah,
Like
because they had a
dying
large
business
short
and
interest.
then-
Right. Nokia
kind-
as well.
Yeah,
over the last year, it's not looking hot.
can we grab
I
like
like
5
that.
years?
Very
Spike, yeah.
messenger.
5 years flat.
Yeah.
And then financials.
So I don't quite know what he's up to there. Didn't it sort of get meme stocked for a second there, like when the GameStop squeeze was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
I guess that's what
I'm
that
pretty
was.
sure that. Yeah.
And then there was
this
another
is right
one
around the
too,
same time
huh?
as GameStop.
Should have dumped it.
How high did it get? Yeah, he didn't have his limit order on.
No.
Where?
That's the second spike there.
Oh, you're right. So we got around
Wow,
135.
that's
and
before the
it's-
iPhone turned up, that chart, isn't it?
Oh gosh, sorry.
No,
Well,
that's 2008. Like,
yeah, look at that though. It goes from 135 all the way down. Ooh.
Yeah,
Where's-
Apple stole all of that market
Apple
cap.
destroyed
There's the
them,
spike
yeah.
I'm looking for. Geez. All right, about 18. It's down to 7 now since
Did-
the GameStop.
Did you guys see that David Tepper bought GM? That was notable to me. You didn't notice that?
I don't follow David.
You don't
Tepper as
follow
well.
Tepper. Tepper's one of the guys that Pabrai follows with his shameless cloning and the free lunch portfolio.
He was the first one in Micron, right? First kind of big name.
He may have been. Yeah, he's been in it for a while. He's been hacking away at it recently.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
The people all want
There he is.
Carvana, boys.
Yeah, people want Carvana. Should we talk a little bit about Carvana?
You want to talk about Tepper real quick and then do Carvana?
Yeah, well, so Tepper, I just noticed he added to Macy's, which is like, I have no idea what's happening there.
Yeah, that's a pretty big swing there.
Macy's had a huge sale recently, right? Of certain assets and everything. There was some.
They spun some out.
I think
Is that
so.
right?
Yeah, there was mention with Seritage. Someone brought it up. I don't remember where, but
Let me take a look at Macy's real
Can
quick.
can someone explain to me what I would buy at Macy's?
Clothes mainly, clothes and
Okay.
then gifts.
It's a department. It's like a
Yeah.
chain department store.
Also like
Kind of like a Target or
perfume.
something.
No, it's Target is more like kind of everyday items. Macy's is more like kind of gift sort of items. You got lots of clothes is a big part. They have perfume, jewelry, kind of one-off gift items. Yeah, is that a good description, Brad?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
That's kind of what it is.
You'd find it in a mall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have Frank, have you guys got Macy's?
No, we have Target, and it sounds like Macy's. So our Target must be very different than the
I
US
wonder.
thing.
So,
Yeah, we
in
don't
the,
have
in, do you have super targets by chance?
No.
In the US, we have
Can you buy
Target and
Can
super
you buy
Target.
groceries at Target, Frank?
Someone just said like Maya, Frank.
Meyer, okay.
Maya is like David Jones. Do you have David Jones, or it's all Aussie stuff?
No.
Well, at least I know what it's like now.
It sounds a lot like Farmers in New Zealand. We have a shop called Farmers. That's kind of what
Take
it
your word
sounds
for
like.
it. I think this is a good
Actually, there's a
characterization.
comment that literally just said more like Farmers. Tom. There we
Target is
go.
a higher end Walmart in the US. That sounds about right.
Do they have a
Right.
yodeling kid though, or is that just a Walmart thing?
That was an old meme. There we go.
How old is that?
He's got a new song.
Is he like how old is he now?
I don't know, but he works at Subway and like released his new song. singing in
Surely
the
he has
Subway.
like a thriving TikTok account. Or
We've
something.
gone off topic. He does, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Good for him.
It's too early to go off the rails, boys.
No, that's fine. We got people talking about Macy's and Target now. Look at us! Look at us bringing these cultures together, talking about our common stores.
Room
The comments
for
have never been more
international
lively.
Yeah, the chat's just lit up. Where are we gonna look at next after Tepper?
Carvana.
Carvana and
Carvana.
Ravenel and
So that's Cliff Sosin and
Cliff Sosin.
Ravenel, yeah.
And Cliff Sosin replied to Frank's tweet this morning, I saw.
You sure
yeah.
did.
That's
Well,
pretty
that
cool.
was
Well, it's pretty easy when you compliment him as much as I did.
When you say he's going to be the next super investor, yeah, that's a pretty tall compliment.
Yeah, kind of asking what kind of investors under 50 years old. I actually don't know how old some of these guys are, but the next super investors, ones that aren't quite there yet. I mentioned Connor Haley from Alta Fox Capital that we looked at, Cliff Sosin, and Rob Bernal.
here's a Ravenel.
And it's a Wix as
Pretty
well.
big swing at Wix there.
Yep.
And that's continued to fall as well. His old portfolio wouldn't be looking too good over the past 3 or 4 months.
Didn't we look at Wix a little while ago? Oh, we got a super chat.
Oh,
Super chat.
Jason's getting excited here.
Tell me Carvana's margin of safety, and I'll triple this amount in the next super chat. Before
Jason,
we do that,
I've got
should we
Jason,
talk
I've
about
got
Wix
no
real
idea,
quick?
but I'll happily
I've
make
got a
up
link
number. Yeah,
I've got a link for you.
Tom,
I actually
why don't
made
you go
a
cliff on this?
I actually made a
Frank,
video on it and had to take it down. I made a mistake about what's the
CEO, right?
CEO's name? Yeah. I was referring to his father. I said he was a convicted felon, but it's the father that's a large shareholder, not the CEO. So I thought I'd better take that down because that's pretty a big claim that I shouldn't make.
Haven't
But
done
there
that
is, but it is pretty
Ernie-
interesting either way that there's fraud within the company.
Yeah,
So
whether it's
Ernie Garcia is the CEO. He's under 40. So
Ernie Garcia the third, right?
The
And
third,
the
is the
second,
CEO,
the
and
second,
Ernie Garcia the second is the one that was convicted for fraud.
but he's a major shareholder still.
He is a major shareholder, as far as I know. I don't know how he's a shareholder. I should say. I don't know if he's a major shareholder.
So what's this got to do with the moat?
Yeah.
It's no. That's a side note. I just had to take a video down, but I've got a link for
in
you
your
in a
video that you
second.
took down, Frank. You emphasized how they lose money on every sale. So
They do. They currently lose a significant amount of money. I think it's about $5,000 per car they sell. They actually are losing money. So the more they grow, the worse their cash flow statement looks. You could probably pull that up if you want.
Sounds like money laundering.
When you say lose money, Frank, are you talking like literally on a gross margin basis? They're buying a car for X and selling it for less than X, or are you talking like across the entire cost?
No, the whole
base at
unit,
current
the whole
size?
unit economics, they're losing money on it. But that's not to say that's going to be the case in the future. Their margins have kind of been trending upwards, but their cash flows don't look as great. So
yeah, I mean, the operating
It's
margin is getting close to the black,
So-
isn't it?
it's weird because it's explosive revenue growth. So you'd assume you'd get some sort of. You think it would be going in a positive direction.
So
margins at some
do
point.
they have some other sort of income? Because how can they have like a positive gross profit if
Things are
they're
very
selling cars at a
when you
loss?
have a lot of cheap money swimming around. Things are very possible for a little while in this market. But yeah, I'd want to know the answer to that too.
Yeah, to me, their margin of safety doesn't quite apply to this one. It's like either they're going to dominate the market for online used car sales, or they're not, or the business is just going to fall apart. It's kind of a
It seems
a
like such a low.
moonshot kind of play. To
Even
me.
if they could turn it around, it seems like such a low margin thing.
Yep.
Like, I don't know what sort of scale you need to really make that work.
So the appeal, I guess, is they currently have, well, the e-commerce side of used car sales in the US is only 1% of overall sales, which is projected by almost anyone you look at, but I forget the investment bank I was looking at. Or JP Morgan, said that it's going to grow to 12% of total car sales by 2030. So it's a huge growth market that is almost guaranteed to take place. It's whether or not Carvana can maintain their market share within that. I think they currently have 40% of the e-commerce used car sales. And if they maintain that, the growth is going to be insane moving forward. It's already been insane over the past 5 years, like 100% CAGR on the top line.
There are definitely tailwinds for sure in used cars in general.
I don't know. There's a lot around this short thesis that is definitely concerning.
Yeah.
They can't really raise any more debt. They have to raise capital to kind of fund themselves at the moment. They need to reach profitability very soon. But yeah.
But yeah, if you guys want to learn more about this one, Cliff Sosin was interviewed by Good Investing Talks back in 2019, and he has a section on Carvana. It's like 30 minutes long, so a lot of good info in there for anyone who's interested in Carvana.
I just shared my screen, Jack, if you want to pull it up, just so we can make $15 from After Dinner Investor. And
and also I think we'll get a quick glimpse of our background as well. Let's see.
It's going to be
very quick.
So this is a discounted cash flow from a huge deep dive analysis, probably 10 to 15,000 words.
Can
If
you
you want to
zoom in a
understand the
little bit,
business,
okay?
yeah.
Who did this one, Frank?
It's from 10th Man. That's just the blog that posted it.
10th
I'm
Man,
not sure.
yeah. He's pretty good.
Can you see that? Is that zoomed enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's a lot of assumptions in here. I won't go through it all, but have a look at the actual growth. He's kind of projecting. And his intrinsic value gets down to right at the bottom. You can see is $193 per share. If you agree with everything he outlines in his thesis, which from skim reading it, like I haven't read through the whole thing, it all seems reasonable in my mind. he's implying there's a significant margin of safety there. I'm pretty sure they're about $120 per share at the moment. That might be wrong, but roughly around that.
126.
So if after an investor wants to check it out, there's a link and there's a margin of safety for him. Not in my opinion, from 10th Man's.
So that's like a 40-ish% margin of safety based on this.
If you agree with these assumptions.
Right.
So what year? So the turnaround to profitability would be in 5 years, basically.
Earnings per share 2024 would be their first
So 2
profitable
years.
number. Yep.
And then free cash flow would go positive in about 5.
2026 free cash flow to firm. Yeah. But again, that's just throwing you a random valuation from a relatively unknown investor.
Yeah.
One person's take, of course.
That's a lot of unprofitability in front of you to like get through, and things got to be still going pretty well.
Yeah, it sounds like from what I've heard, Ernie falls into this kind of fanatic camp in terms of running this business and growing it. He did an interview. I think it was with Invest with Like the Best. So that was a really good interview with him about Carvana.
Jack, I've just put a link in the chat. I'm not sure if there's a way to share that with the public chat or not, but Rob Vinal in his latest shareholder letter, which everyone should be able to get access to, you just have to kind of request it with Facebook or Google, I think. He did a full write-up on why he bought Carvana, and that includes a valuation section as well. So if you want to get Rob Vinal's thoughts on the whole thing.
I'll put it in the chat, though I don't think it'll work as a link, but you should be able to copy paste it, at least if you're on the desktop.
Yeah, just Google RV Capital, as in Rob Vinal Capital, and
it's in the chat now.
Go to his most recent letter. You should be able to find it. There's a fairly lengthy Carvana section in there.
Is anyone interested in Carvana right now, or like wants to really look into it more? Or
I think I might wait till it's profitable and then take a look.
Sure. Which
I think I'm going to look into it.
Say again.
For me,
I just said I think I'm going to look into it a little bit more. There's enough concerns there where it probably ends up just sitting on a watch list, but I definitely want to try and understand the business and whether or not they can be profitable. If the unit economics make sense, I think the whole business is going to work out very well. There's just so much tailwinds behind it that I think revenue grows at least 30%. I should say at least 25% is kind of a bearish scenario over the next 10-year period, just because of the market that they're kind of dominating. So if you can kind of make sense of the unit economics and how they can be profitable, I don't think it matters whether they're profitable right now or not, assuming I get to that point, which I don't know if I will.
Jason's trying to get out of paying up by having sushi and watching Jersey Shore. What's that about?
I saw that.
Jersey Shore.
He says he'll listen to what you just said later. He stepped out.
Can't do super chats after the fact, Jason.
Broke the terms of the contract.
Damn it. We've got a lawyer in here.
Yeah. You wrote it down, Jason. You make it too easy.
Any other 13Fs we should be looking at?
Well, Bill Ackman, Netflix wouldn't show up till next quarter, right?
Yep. So we got a sneak peek at Netflix.
We've forgotten Granddaddy's Warren and Charlie.
Oh, sure.
Warren.
Not that there's much new news, really.
Why don't we do Berkshire real quick? Because it was kind of like a bunch of little weird ones, ones that clearly weren't a Warren swing, as far as we can tell. There we go. Significant add to Chevron, about 1% of the portfolio. Bet on oil, I suppose. I wonder what that's going to look like in this coming quarter, given where oil prices have gone since last quarter. If this is more like a trade sort of move, wouldn't be surprised.
More on the trader Buffett.
I know. I'm thinking about what he did like with, or whether it was him or whoever, with like Barrick Gold like a year ago. Just kind of riding a quick pump in gold prices and sold it like the next quarter. Could be something like that. I don't know. I'm not saying that's actually going to happen.
Probably the most interesting thing for me here was he continued to trim the credit card companies, Visa and MasterCard. He did that last quarter as well. And yeah, they're not huge positions. MasterCard especially was tiny, but he's held it since pretty close to IPO, I think. So he's up more than 10 times and it grew into a, I don't know, 1% position or something from basically nothing.
2008 or 9 when MasterCard IPO'd?
That sounds about right. Ballpark here.
Yeah, I noticed a few investors adding to Visa and MasterCard in the fourth quarter.
Meanwhile, Apple's still chilling at half the portfolio. Crazy.
Could you imagine the dividend checks coming in?
Yeah, well, we don't have to imagine. He made like $200 million like last month, right? Or last week. So
do you think
each quarter or something, right?
What's that?
Tom
or Karan? You both spoke at the same time, one of you?
Go, Karan.
Go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, I wonder if he's still on the physical dividend checks and he just wanders down to the mailbox in the morning to collect his $200
takes it up to
million
the
check.
bank teller. Here's my $200 million check. Can you please deposit this into my account?
Don't lose that one in the mail, right?
Yeah.
They make like what, 200 million per quarter from Apple in dividends?
Yeah.
That's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Said, how big is Apple now? I remember when being $1 trillion company was like unbelievable, but now Apple's at 2.7 trillion.
2.7? Yeah.
What was it? Was it Microsoft was the first to $1 trillion? Like what? Was it 3 years
Apple.
ago? Was it Apple?
I think first to
Pretty
3
sure,
trillion, right?
Yeah, now it's first to 3. I think it was Apple and Microsoft like both hit $1 trillion, pretty close to each other, and now look where we are. It's crazy. Just a couple years later.
Should we make some predictions that we can play back in future round when the first $10 trillion company?
It's obviously Tesla.
Cross that threshold.
It's obviously Tesla.
Tesla might be there next year with enough pumping.
I'm going Microsoft in what year are we? 22.
You said
I'm going Microsoft in 2032.
So 10 years from now. Well, the problem is we have the turkey problem. Like, is this nominal?
Yeah.
I'll say Google in the same year.
Karan and I are going with Tencent.
10 cent to 10 trillion?
In 10 years.
Damn.
What is that, a 20 bagger?
Like, part of me is saying the company doesn't exist yet, but man, to get to $10 trillion in 10 years, that's a big.
Just make up a cool
one.
company name.
10 trillion is like what, half the US economy, or
in today's dollars.
Yeah.
Kelly Partners Group,
like
maybe?
quarter is a huge.
Facebook.
Ooh, Meta.
Sorry, Meta.
Turtle Beach.
When's Turtle Beach getting there?
In 2 years, it'll get to 10 trillion.
Okay. Someone write that down.
Yeah, it's got to be one of the current giants. It'd be
I
hard
thought
to
Jack would pick Hertz or something. So.
yeah, Hertz.
Bitcoin.
Can we just
Bitcoin
pull up
is
after dinner investors' worst comment of all time about California rolls? No sauce on sushi. He likes it dry. Is that the worst comment ever?
God.
Man.
There's like nothing going on.
Dry sushi, like
Yeah,
what?
It's basically just it really is just rice. Maybe a
Yeah,
little
might as well
cheese.
eat plain rice out of a bowl.
I bet
Jason,
he
having
only gets teriyaki chicken as well.
Yeah, that would be him.
Goes to the sushi restaurant, orders chicken, like that kind of guy.
He's that guy with no sauce on it too, which is even worse.
plain grilled chicken.
Plain rice with grilled chicken. That's it.
Jason posts some good looking meals.
So someone
faith.
requested Terry Smith. Should we pull up Terry Smith real
We're
quick?
back on track. Yes.
We should also go through Seth Klarman.
Okay.
I think.
Oh,
yeah.
and then we should wrap up with our man Charlie. Maybe talk about the recent Daily Journal meeting, at least some of it.
The margin debt.
Yeah, that was an interesting detail, or interesting comments.
Oh, also, I saw David Einhorn buying Discovery. That was, I mean, it's
So
relevant
who
to
do we
me,
want to do? We should probably start to wrap up pretty soon.
Terry
So
Smith. Let's hop on Terry
Let's
Smith.
go with Terry Smith first. Yeah.
Fun Smith, right? Or
Then you give us the
Fun
young
Smith.
buck that is
We
Charlie
forgot
Munger.
Bill Miller also. I mean,
Bill Miller.
and here we go. Fun Smith.
The only value guy bullish on Bitcoin, right? At least publicly.
Yeah, there are others.
There are others. Okay.
yeah,
They
Michael Saylor is another value guy, bullish on Bitcoin. He's kind
Deep
of bullish.
value.
I think he's a bit
Our
undecided,
background
but
deep value. Kathy Wood. I'm sure she is.
So what do we got for Terry Smith here? We've got a couple small ads up top.
Cut to Intuit.
Into it. Okay.
A little bitty ad to Facebook,
Yeah.
aka Meta.
Buying Philip Morris.
It's a lot of little ads here and there.
Yeah.
He bought Google somewhere, I think.
Yeah, it's
Was
coming
the main
up.
one.
There it is. So what did he put? 1.2 billion into Google.
It's a reasonable ad to Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Amazon was bought in the third quarter, I believe, for the first time by Terry Smith. So,
Probably just finishing off his buy there.
right. Yep. So there you go. Google and Amazon betting on America.
Microsoft's biggest
Google and
position.
Amazon is like betting on the world minus China.
It is. It is like betting on the world.
It's
yeah.
minus China. Yeah.
Minus
You
China.
Pretty
can't-
much
So you got to have Baba as well. 10 cents.
to round it out.
Yeah.
Next, rapid fire here. What we
Seth
said, Bill Miller.
Klarman, or who do we
Klarman?
want to tackle?
Klarman?
The original MOS.
What is Seth again? He is
Baupost.
Baupost.
The original
What's MOS?
MOS. That was a shots at Benjamin Graham right there.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We got MOS with Klarman and POS with like Kathy. It's nice.
I hope Kathy isn't watching right now.
I just got that. Jesus.
Okay, Baupost, Liberty, look at that. Number one. Added to Corvo. What is Corvo? Who's familiar with Corvo?
why have I heard of it?
It's kind of been in the value circles, it seems like.
Is that why I've heard of it? Not because of any product?
I don't think so.
Fiserv was probably the most interesting.
Semiconductors.
Fiserv was interesting in Klarman's portfolio. Brad, you talked to Rob recently. I think even he's invested in Fiserv, or maybe he sold out.
Rob Vinal was
Yeah.
invested in Fiserv?
No, Robert from the popular.
Oh, I see.
Investor, yeah.
Have you been speaking of Rob Vinal and not telling us, Brett?
And then it looks like Jeffrey Ubben bought Fiserv as well. Value Act Capital. So couple buys with Fiserv. I have no idea what
Trim to
Fiserv
Google,
does.
though. We were just talking about how
That's a decent trim.
Terry Smith adding the Google.
And
adding,
Facebook.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
And it cut to Micron, too. Half.
It's so interesting. Like everyone has the same sort of mindset, value focus, but same, company, but we see different changes.
Right.
Right.
And it really tells you that, you can get an idea with this. Like it's a good idea generation activity, but yeah,
Beauty's in the
start
eye of the
cloning,
beholder.
you just get lost.
Yep.
You got
Gotta have
required
your own.
returns, you got taxes, you got money to place. All sorts of different things could change for each situation.
Mhm.
And plus, this is incomplete. Like we don't know what context exactly we're missing here, which could point to some answers. But yeah, you're totally right.
Are you guys, I don't know who follows Italian fashion companies, but Smithson
Very
added
closely.
Moncler.
See, I thought you were about to
MONC.
say who follows Italian fascists. I'm like, what?
in January, that was added to the Fundsmith Small and Mid Cap Fund. So that was interesting.
And
It's
what was that
a
in?
strange
That was-
segue, like, you know, just
What was that in, Brad?
Smithson, which is the Fundsmith Small and Mid Cap Fund.
Is that on tickers separately?
I don't think it's
Doesn't look
on
like it.
ticker. Yeah.
It would just be the smaller positions within the
Oh.
normal Fundsmith one, I think.
Oh, would it?
Yeah.
I think they appear down the bottom, yeah.
That's probably right.
All right, I'll pull it back up.
What are your thoughts on Italian fashion, Brad?
Yeah,
Oh,
you can't just lead into that. Where is this at?
he
Which
just
one
gets
is
the
it?
same thing from Turkey, but, you know, like 90% off.
yeah. That's my
Yeah, he's been
preference.
spending a lot of time in the
I'm
Mediterranean.
a value
so-
guy. So you got to click on rows per page and expand that.
Oh.
What's the company?
MONC.
What's the ticker?
MONC.
Monk.
You're gonna have to look it up individually.
Control F it.
I am. Oh, what? Are you lying to me? I don't think it's in here. It's not in the Fundsmith main one.
Nope.
Hence my endless scrolling. Brad, the master of deflection.
It may not be a large. It's probably not a large enough holding to be required to be disclosed.
It might not be.
Yeah.
Shall we wrap
Should we
up
do,
with
should we do Charlie?
Charlie. Yeah. Oh, should we talk about the Daily Journal meeting at all?
Well, let's quickly review what he did.
Go through
Let's
it.
take a look
case
at the
anyone
13F.
forgot.
We can share highlights from the meeting. That'll be fun.
Tom had a nice video out about Alibaba and Daily Journal, the takeaway.
Because this is not just a double,
That was
guys. This is a double of a double. So
It's a second double.
yeah, if my math is correct, that's a 4x from the initial investment.
It is correct.
Yeah, look, I think Charlie's done really well with the round number on his latest purchase, but in terms of total shares,
Yeah, you gotta
that's a B
gotta clean
minus.
that up.
Yeah.
Taking out margin too.
Yeah.
Just a drop in the bucket for Charlie.
Well, it's
You guys remember-
it's an interesting one because the margin loan at DJ Co is not your traditional margin loan. Like it, as I understand it, it's not callable for some reason. Apparently, the loan's always been serviced by the dividends from the bank holdings, and maybe that equation changes as the margin loan kind of gets larger. But yeah, it's probably worth noting that it's not your traditional margin loan that Joe Bloggs takes out and gets margin called when the stocks go down a little.
That's important. That's an important caveat here.
Yeah.
I wonder what the terms are on that.
Yeah, wouldn't mind some of that.
Except you ask him, and he's like, he was asked point blank about, should shareholders have the right to know what else you're investing in?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we don't want people to know.
Yeah.
Which is like, all right, I admire the honesty. You always have to admire that from Charlie.
Yeah, he wasn't quite that direct. It was more like, well, our policy at Daily Journal and Berkshire
kinda
is
was.
that we,
He's like, we
Wasn't
disclose what
far
we have
off.
to disclose,
It
but we
wasn't
don't want
far
people
off.
to know. That's pretty much exactly what he said. We don't want people to
Yeah.
know what we're investing in.
Which
If he wasn't on camera, he'd just be like bugger off or something.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if cameras make a
He would
difference
not
for him.
use that nicer language. Yeah.
No.
You guys remember when Charlie first bought into Alibaba and he's like, yeah, it's a cash equivalent.
Yep.
I'm taking out margin and doubling my position for a cash equivalent. Yeah.
It's that inflation play.
Yeah, of course.
Well, he was asked about risk with Alibaba, and from what I remember, he basically said, "Look, it's opportunity cost, right? Cash is losing value.
Dollars
So,
going to zero. is
Yeah,
what he
you've got to
said,
take that
in the
into
next 100 years.
consideration.
Which
Right?
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure the dollar's done that in the last 100 years. If you look back,
Oh, it's terrible.
it's like 99% devalued, and it's It's just exponential. It'll never hit 0, but it'll just keep getting divided.
Well, let's hope it doesn't hit 0.
It's kind of impossible, right? Like, if it hits 0, that's like pure anarchy.
If the
Bitcoin
yen can
will save
survive,
us.
so can anything else.
What's that, Karan?
The NFT of the dollar will be worth more than the dollar.
Ooh.
Yeah, if Japan can do well the way like the situation it is in, any country can do okay. Like
What are you trying to say about Japan?
I'm saying, like if you're lending out money at 0% and
For decades.
with like no growth, with like
The
stable,
central bank owns half the market.
yeah, the US seems like quite decent in comparison.
Give it time. We'll see what happens.
At least there's growth. At least there's like new companies actually doing something.
Demographics seem to be a big part of that too. So I'll be curious to see what ends up with Japan in like 30 years' time, say. Same with the US, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
there's a reason we're all invested in the US market as opposed to any other market, right? There's always innovation. There's always something.
Yeah, but I mean, I think most of us are looking at things on an individual company basis rather than a broad market, right?
I think what Karan's getting at is there tends to be more opportunities, which makes sense if the economy's growing, even if it's not growing as fast as it was 40 years ago. It's still growth, which not every country has.
Yeah, and the American companies don't hoard cash like the Japanese ones tend to.
Right.
No, we Americans like our debt.
Yeah, I was going to say the real estate investor up top here would be horrified if he looked at those balance sheets.
Oh no, I'm not horrified at all. But yeah, I'd be wondering, like, you see all this printing going on, right?
Yeah.
Anything else from the meeting? That he dropped a few things.
Yeah,
I liked comparative venereal
the,
disease.
Yes, that's it. The new description of Bitcoin and crypto. That was special.
I wonder if he thinks some of these up. He's like, all right, when they ask me about this,
Or if
I'm
it's
gonna
just
say that.
like,
or is
off
it really
the cuff,
spontaneous?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wonder for some of these because they're so specific. They're so specific. Sometimes you're like, wow, top of mind.
So now Guy Spear, instead of talking about rat poison squared, he's going to be mentioning venereal disease.
Yeah, I mean,
we're seeing comments in the chat about how he's 98 years old, which is just mind-boggling that he gets up there and does what he does. Like,
yeah,
he's still sharp. He is still very sharp. It's very impressive.
The guy, there's a comment there like he wasn't even eating peanut brittle this year. Like the guy did a 2-hour Q&A with no sugar. It looked like he was on a Diet Coke as well. I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Maybe starting to like realize maybe I should reduce my sugar intake like now.
He's probably
At
on a
98,
keto
he
diet.
just realizes.
Yeah.
I mean, like
that's the secret. It's like a protective coating for your arteries.
Yeah. It's super impressive. Like the five of us start going completely crazy about an hour into these live streams. Yet Charlie can sit up there and do a 2-hour Q&A, no worries. And he's 98.
Yeah. I did like the architect comment as well. He's asked about why some of the dorm rooms didn't have windows. And that was his response to that was priceless.
Yeah. But on Alibaba stuff, I mean, he got a lot of questions on Baba and China in general. He got they asked him about VIE, about that structure, which is obviously one of the big things that kind of hangs over Alibaba that people get really concerned about.
Right.
And I'm not sure if anyone has the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of, when you do buy Alibaba, you do get sort of a derivative ownership, but as long as there's, what do you say? As long as there's honor amongst civilized nations or something like that, he doesn't see it as big a risk. Yeah, as a very big risk. So that was interesting. And he just kind of flat out said, the Chinese companies are stronger and cheaper than the US alternative. So that's why he's investing there.
Yeah, you get more bang for your buck.
Isn't China lowering interest rates or something? That's happening there, right?
I think that's right.
Is that part of their kind of bailout effort of certain things, like linked to stuff. You notice how Evergrande kind of dropped out of the news.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about them.
Like
Recently.
sounded like that was going to be world-ending, like financial crisis type news, and it just disappeared. It completely fell out of the cycle. It tells you something about news. It's just like once you're done for like 2 weeks, it's on to the next thing.
Especially US news when it comes to China, I think is very,
Sure.
No,
very
really
over
just
the top.
anything. It's not just China. It's really anything. I don't know how it is in the rest of the world, but certainly in the US, the news cycle, it just rips you around onto the next thing, onto the next crisis.
And the narrative around inflation keeps changing in the news as well, right? It's
Mhm.
transitory. It just keeps. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, speaking of the next crisis, we've got like Baba earnings in like 5 days.
Yeah.
Next
Something to look
crisis.
forward to.
I've just shared the Chinese interest rates. If you want to have a look at that, Jack, it is quite an
Kathy.
interesting
I can
story.
barely see you, Kathy.
And
Wow. Okay.
So they're
it
down to,
started
like,
around
2?
575.
but they went from about 3 to that's 3.5 at the bottom. Sorry. So they went from like high 3s to mid 3s
Mhm.
in the last couple of weeks.
3.75 to like.
Yeah, but I mean, it's doing the reverse of what we're starting to see some other places. I mean, what are the US talking about now? Like potentially seven rate hikes this year?
I think that's mostly talk.
It's all talk.
That if they really did 7 in a year, you'd cause like mass turmoil in the markets.
We're going to be lining up at the soup kitchens if that
but
happens,
the
Jack.
Fed's job isn't anything to do with the stock market.
Yeah, but when a 1
It's
point
stability
incre-
of
when a
prices and employment, right?
Theoretically.
Yeah, no, which okay, 1% a 1% increase in rates causes an extra $225 billion in interest payments on the U.S. debt. There's only so much they can jack up rates before the government is completely insolvent. So that's, I'm sure, going to be top of mind. So
Yeah.
and also
Yeah.
inflation's at 7% by their own numbers, which they're trying to change again anyways. They're at 7% by their own numbers. Yet, what are you waiting for? Like, is you waiting for inflation to subside on its own? Like, government keeps spending, so
They just need a different
a lot of talk.
methodology for calculating it, Jack. That's
Right,
all that's necessary here.
It's a lot of talk, and there's clear problems, but nothing's being done. So that's why I find it funny how the media has jumped. Yes, they're going to do 8, and then the next report will be 9, 10, 11 rate hikes in a year. They haven't even done 1 yet. So we'll see what happens in March if they actually go through with 1. How big is that going to be? And we'll see what the reaction is to that. It's all touch and go from here. There's a lot of debt in the system.
How are you guys thinking about inflation in terms of your positions? Are you thinking about it at all? Probably not as bottoms up investors, but just thought I'd ask.
I think it comes in, and it's worth going through the mental exercise for each of your
Yeah.
companies, I would say. But
Pricing
that's
power.
about the extent of it. Yeah, pricing power, and with SRG specifically, things like redevelopment costs and so on,
And fixed
or
rates.
what happens if cap rates change, that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, we're still pickers of individual companies. I think most of us. I mean, Jack's approach is a little different, but that's where I'm at.
What do you mean? What are we trying to say?
For the miners and the gold. What's it? The gold miners and the silver miners.
Yeah.
But
I know, but you're a lot more diversified than all of us.
Yeah,
Jack,
sure.
is what I'm-
yeah, but it's a
really just
level
my
of comfort,
retirement
right?
accounts that are.
Yeah.
That's kind of my safety net if I suck at this.
Yeah.
I have indices to fall back on, and
Yeah.
if those blow up, we have other problems.
Yeah, I'm not trying to throw shots or anything.
No,
Just
yeah, I
different
wanted
styles.
I just want to see what you meant by that.
Yeah.
He's imagining your pie graph, Jack.
Still pretty concentrated. We're talking about 20 holdings. We're not talking about 100 like Terry Smith over here. Had to open up the column.
Cool.
Did you
Any
guys,
final? What's up, Grant?
Yeah, what about Charlie's comment on index funds, the whole new emperors?
Yeah.
You guys have any thoughts on that?
It's something I'm thinking more and more about. Like, what are the implications of having so much money going passive. I can. Yeah, and you got all this money flowing into index funds, and they're buying irrespective of price, right? So that's going to impact, the market dynamics. So it's fascinating to try to wrap my head around that, but I'm just at the beginning of that.
Small illiquid companies will solve your problem, boys. Come to my world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, it's short-term flows kind of stuff we're talking about versus long-term earnings, which is going to drive your results for the most
actually,
part.
to your comment, Frank, small liquid companies, our background, Kathy Wood, has shown us actually a problem with that, with indexing small liquid companies, because your index fund, your ETF, ends up moving the whole index in a big way. And it just doesn't work very well, because then you get big inflows, big outflows as feelings change, and then the company prices all move dramatically at the same time, even though you're diversified. So there's a way to do it.
Yeah, it works if you're like below like maybe 10 million or so.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'll be fine.
We're not coming in and just moving the stock price 3 times.
So
Frank,
Jack,
at the rate KPG is going, I think it might be a problem for you soon.
Yeah, but the liquidity is growing at the same rate, so he'll be all right.
Jack, pull up Matt Hansen's comment there. The S&P goes up over $5 for every dollar put in. So this, I first heard about this through Bill Brewster's recent podcast with Michael, I forget his name, but it was a fascinating perspective. I forget what it's called. Like it's the opposite of like the efficient market theory. It's almost like reverse short squeeze.
How is this calculated?
It's something I got to learn more about, but check out Bill Brewster's podcast. I highly recommend that one with, who was it? Michael. It really speaks to the impact of all of these passive flows and what that's doing to the market dynamics.
Well, of course, demand would push anything up, but I'm wondering where this kind of ratio 1 to 5 is coming from.
It's got to just be sort of net flows versus changing market cap or something. Right?
Well, couldn't it?
So Michael Green on the Business Brew, check that out.
Yeah, that's what the chat's saying as well. Yeah, I'd be interested in that one. It makes sense. Obviously, when you have more money put in, you have more demand. It's going to go up.
It's like asymmetric for some reason. Yeah.
How much of that is skewed by interest rates?
The inelastic market hypothesis.
I wonder how that, when you adjust for interest rates, I wonder what that looks like. I'm sure they've considered that, but as interest rates compress, you're going to probably get bigger swings, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting thought, though.
Doesn't change how people chew gum.
Sure.
There you go. We got to buy Wrigley, right?
That's the amount of gum.
It's funny. That's actually funny because I saw a tweet the other day that the amount of people that chew gum has actually gone down quite dramatically over time.
Well, I feel like I used to chew gum.
I have a pack on my desk all the time.
There we go.
Yeah.
Wait, do you guys still have 5 gum, Jack?
Yeah.
That stuff's disappeared. Oh, man.
Aren't they owned by Wrigley? Speaking of Wrigley?
Yeah, but that was all the rage here when I was in high school, and now it's disappeared.
Yeah, Wrigley's 5. That's my go-to. Cobalt, and then sometimes winter mint during the winter.
I like it.
Any final thoughts? Final thoughts on Charlie Munger? There's a lot. That was a long talk. There's a lot of nuggets. Say again.
So many.
I think 13F season was kind of disappointing this time.
I think we'll see this next quarter when we see Q1 2022 with all the price movements.
There's going to be a lot of stuff in there. I feel like
we've already seen some big swings. Bill Ackman with Netflix, that's one, and Monish selling off SRG. Like this might just be scraping the surface. So I'd be curious as to what this next quarter is going to be. And you might have some.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jack. Go ahead.
No, go.
Okay. I was just going to say an interesting kind of mental exercise I was going through the other day is like, if I filed a 13F, how would my activity compare to a Guy Spear or a Mona Fry? Like, where do I sit on the spectrum of portfolio turnover?
Yeah, what's your answer to that, Tom?
Yeah, I'm definitely closer to Guy than Monish. In fourth quarter last year, there were no new stocks added or removed, but I may have no new stocks bought or completely sold, but I think I added to a couple from memory, but not significant changes. How about you guys?
I think mine was relatively quiet. I don't know. I go with this quarter, like first quarter of 2022. I'll have probably 2 buys and 2 sells, which is semi-active, I guess, compared to some people. I don't know. Definitely compared to Guy Spear.
This
Brad, how about you?
I feel like it's been pretty slow. Pretty slow.
I'm looking at 2022. I think I've added to 3 positions, maybe 4.
Jack, you sold out of EQC a little bit, right?
Yeah, that was my only sell. So this year, I sold just at what it would have been like 10% of that, and moved that into Turtle Beach when it was below 18 for a moment, which is now back up to like 22 or something. So okay, I'm an expert trader like Monish.
You really are.
But otherwise, it's just been adding cash as it comes in, pretty much. And right now, a few percent of the portfolio is cash for money that will be invested at some point.
Who's going to the Berkshire meeting? I'm guessing none of you are. It's a bit of a haul for you guys.
Well,
Should we make it a meetup?
Yeah, I would be going, but I can't get back with current regulations.
Oh,
so.
right.
They wouldn't let you back in at all?
Well, yeah, I don't want to get into this too much, but COVID restrictions are still pretty strict. So, I actually just pulled up shameless share site plug. My all trades report on share site for my personal portfolio. I actually had no trades at all in the fourth quarter last year. So
there you go.
Full Spear mode.
I want to
Jack,
take a quick. Yep.
Jack, it's not that far for you. Have you been to a Berkshire meeting yet?
No.
Oh.
I mean,
You got to get there.
The first time I would have been interested in it really would probably have been last year, but with everything, they did it like virtually or whatever.
You could drive there in like 8 hours or something, probably.
Could I?
Omaha?
Is it only 8? I feel like it'd be more. Let me see.
Pull up the map. Let's see it.
I am going to Google Maps real quick.
Tom, just get arrested and deported.
Deported deported back. Right. Okay.
Simple, not
what do
easy.
I have to do?
Tom, you can just swim through.
What if I tackle Monish or something? Will that do it?
Yeah, he might have his Turkish bodyguards with him at the Berkshire meeting.
Yeah, that'd be frowned upon.
Yeah.
Wait, and this year? Oh no! Last year was L.A. because they were closer. Yeah, it actually looks like it would be 7 hours.
Oh, look at that!
I didn't realize it was that far east in the state, but yeah, 7 hours.
There you go. That's right. Jason could get there in no time.
So let's plan for like next year, maybe.
Let's do that. Yeah. Hopefully, New Zealand has lightened up a little bit on the COVID restrictions.
Well, hopefully, both the gentlemen we're going to see are still hanging in there.
Right.
It's probably a larger risk, I would say.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, these guys are not going anywhere. They're going to be here till for the next 20 years.
They
definitely.
might be.
You know what? I think Jason might actually be around the same distance as me.
You guys can carpool or something.
No. He's straight south. I'm straight east.
Different direction? Okay.
Yeah, he's straight south Omaha, and I'm straight east. So
you could carpool and eat sauceless sushi.
Yeah, we can go get some sushi.
Yeah, you'll have to bring your own
having sushi, but Frank's serving him beef. So
We should do a punch card meetup of some sort. I don't know where it would be. Maybe it could be at some point, whether it be a year from now or whenever, just sometime in the future. That'd be great.
I think to get in, you need to be a shareholder from what I remember. So you just have to buy like a B share and you get an invitation.
Do any of us not own Berkshire?
I don't own any Berkshire right now. No.
Yeah,
I don't own it.
Well
Tom,
then,
please don't comment about USA. Okay, my bad. I think if we do a punch card meetup, it's got to either be Omaha or I feel like Dubai would be a pretty sick location.
I agree. It'd have to be
What
one of
about
those two.
Kelly Partners Group annual general meeting next year?
Since it's carrying the portfolio.
It's only
Pay our
fair.
respects.
I don't have enough capital gains to get into that one.
Hey, maybe we could make it travel around. So one year it's in Omaha, another year it's in Dubai, and so on. That would be kind of fun. It's a long-term venture. We're approaching 1 year of punch card investing.
Yeah, 1 year of punch card. Yeah.
Is that all tax deductible, those travels?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it'd be business expense.
Gotta be.
Easy.
Yeah.
From the punch card partnership, yeah, that's funding everything.
Yeah.
A live podcast would be cool, like in studio somewhere.
Totally.
That would be excellent. That's like that's peak right there. I mean, we can get live anything.
We just need a few more super chats to get there.
Yeah, quite a few more. Anyway, we continue to grow a little bit each day.
Oh, we can meet in the metaverse, just like.
Oh, yeah, right. How can
It's
we forget
just
about
as
the
real.
metaverse? Should I pull up Mark real quick to close? No, I don't want to pull. I don't want to find that image again of Mark. Let's wrap it up there, guys.
Okay.
As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you all for stopping by. And thank you all for smashing the like button. If you haven't done that already, please do. It helps us out a ton. And Tom mentioned ShareSite. Check out our affiliate link to ShareSite in the description below. You get some free months of their premium service if you go ahead and do that. It's a nice portfolio tracker platform. And it's, so please check that out. You can use a free account on that as well. Just please use our link. Because if you do end up paying for it later, that could help us. But check out the Discord as well. Subscribe. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Until next time, everyone.